everyone, and welcome to Ed America. My name is James, one of the e-guides here at Ed America, and we welcome audience members joining us online. We hope that you're doing well and staying safe. And welcome to those that join us here today, invited by Ed America. Can I please get a round of applause? All right, thank you so much. Now, a little bit about Ed America. Ed America is the United States Embassy's American Center, and our mission is to provide a space for young Indonesians to learn more about the United States. Today, we will be having the hidden benefits of global migration, parents, and children. But before we begin, I have here a question for all audience members at home. In what year was the International Organization for Migration, otherwise known as the IOM, established? Is it 1941, 1951, 1961, or 1971? Stay tuned until the end of this program because we'll be giving a live shout out to whoever can answer correctly on our social medias. Other than that, don't forget to take a selfie and tag at America's Instagram account. And now, I would like to read out the synopsis for our first film screening today, directed by Zimin Hu. Inspired by the filmmaker's life experience, Ketchup and Soya Sauce is a feature documentary about how couples in a mixed relationship between a first-generation Chinese immigrant and a non-Chinese partner from 90s to 20s deal with their cultural differences through sharing the infrequently discussed insights regarding the challenges and rewards of their relationships. We will now play the film. Enjoy the show. today. And now I would like to invite Pak Mark Neighbors, the political officer from the U.S. Embassy Jakarta, to give his opening remarks. Pak Mark, the stage is yours.
Okay. Can everyone see me and hear me? All right, perfect. Look out that way. There we go. All right. Ya, selamat datang di semua peserta dan penonton bersama kami hari ini dan besok. Atas nama Kedutaan Besar Amerika Serikat, izinkan saya menawarkan pidato khusus kepada panelis, moderator dan tentu saja para pembuat film malam ini. Kita semua menantikan diskusi yang mencakup topik yang sangat penting. Terima kasih semua telah datang hari ini dan terima kasih yang sebesar-besarnya kepada Amerika dan IOM kerana telah menyelenggarakan acara fantastis ini lagi. Saya bersyukur atas kesempatan untuk berbicara dengan anda semua di sini secara langsung dan berbicara dengan mereka yang mendengarkan secara online. Nama saya Mark Neighbors dan kerja saya termasuk menganalisasi masalah pengungsi sebagai bagian dari posisi saya di bagian politik di Kedutaan Besar Amerika Serikat. Namun, seperti yang selalu saya katakan kepada orang-orang ketika saya berbicara tentang masalah ini, topik ini bukan hanya bagian dari pekerjaan saya, tetapi juga bagian hidup saya. Itu karena ibu saya adalah seorang pengungsi dari China yang melarikan diri selama Perang Saudara China yang mengerikan. Sejak film pendek pertama dalam kinoskop Thomas Edison, atau ketika kita menyaksikan Georges Méliès membawa kita pada perjalanan ke bulan, Voyage to the Moon, orang-orang telah senang dengan gambar-gambar berjalan dan berbicara di layar film. Sekarang dengan internet dan medsos, banyak dari kita menjadi bintang film kita sendiri yang diterbitkan dari ponsel kita. Sinema menjadi bahasa universal. Tempat di mana kita dapat melakukan perjalanan melintasi multiverse atau melihat secara mendalam ke dalam kehidupan kita sendiri di tempat yang paling rentan dan intim. Menurut saya, bahasa universal film adalah bahasa kemungkinan dan bahasa harapan. Bagi para migran, imigran, dan pengungsi, banyak dari apa yang telah mereka dengar tentang dunia di luar perbatasan mereka, di luar situasi sulit mereka sendiri, telah diinformasikan oleh film-film dari Hollywood dan Bollywood dan lain-lain. Dan banyak dari mereka membuat keputusan yang menyayat hati untuk meninggalkan rumah mereka dan berkali-kali meninggalkan keluarga dan teman-teman mereka. Mereka pergi dengan harapan masa depan yang lebih baik di tempat lain, seringkali ribuan kilometer jauhnya dari tempat mereka dibesarkan. Film-film oleh para migran dan pengungsi yang ditampilkan sebagai bagian dari festival ini merupakan ekspresi yang luar biasa dari harapan ini. Kemungkinan bahwa jika saya dapat menemukan cara untuk keluar dari sini, saya dapat mengubah nasib saya. Sekarang saya tidak ingin membuatnya terdengar seperti harapan saja yang dapat menopang orang-orang dalam situasi yang menantang dan seringkali sangat berbahaya ini. Harapan saja tidak cukup, tetapi harapan memang sangat kuat. Jika kita berharap menemukan cara untuk membantu 26 juta pengungsi dan puluhan juta migran yang tak terhitung jumlahnya di seluruh dunia, salah satu hal pertama yang harus kita lakukan adalah mendengarkan. Kita harus mendengarkan dan belajar dari cerita yang mereka ceritakan kepada kita. Film-film ini beri kami kesempatan untuk mendengar cerita-cerita ini. Terima kasih atas waktu Anda dan mari terus mendengarkan dan menonton.
Thank you so much, Pak Mark, for your opening remarks. Can I please get a round of applause for him? All right, and now I would like to invite Bu Theodora Suter, IOM Deputy Chief of Mission, joining us from Zoom to give her opening remarks.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon to all, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of IOM, the International Organization for Migration, I would like to welcome you to the opening of the Global Migration Film Festival 2021. Before I begin, I would like to thank Mark Neighbor for sharing his personal experience, which is very important to us. And also I would like to thank the staff at America and at American Corner, especially all the people that have been involved in putting this event together. I think you are a great team, so thank you very much. Film Festival is kind of 6 years old this year, and is being organized, unfortunately, in a very challenging context, also because the COVID-19 pandemic has not stopped. Nevertheless, we thought it was important to continue having that conversation and making sure that we still bring together and we present a different way of showing migration. Sorry, my dog is barking. I apologize for that. That's the problems of Zoom. Okay, so COVID-19 has had a huge impact on mobility. We know that several billion of people have actually been grounded. Nevertheless, we should not forget that while a lot of us were grounded, a lot of people had to move internally within their countries because they were being displaced by disaster, conflict, or violence. And actually, we have seen this number increase during the pandemic years. So while these stats are useful, they actually don't give the human face of migration. And this is where the movies become so important. I think it's important for all of us to remember that people start their migration journey to seek better opportunity, to escape from violence and other difficult conditions. People migrate also for love. And I think the last movie we saw, it's also a very important testimony how love can really support migrants in their difficult journey. So the purpose of us selecting this movie was also to nuance the way in which migration is perceived by public opinion, understand what are the challenges and the opportunity of international migration. We saw two beautiful films today, and there will be two tomorrow, and I hope you will have the time to join the screen tomorrow as well. And I'm looking forward to participate to the conversation later today. Without further ado, I would like to thank you again for being here today despite the difficult conditions, and really look forward to continue the discussion. And before I close, I would like to say that it's so evident that when we actually protect and support migrants, we as a society, we all stand to prosper. Thank you very much all again, and have a good afternoon.
Thank you so much, Theodora, for your opening remarks. Everyone, please, another round of applause. Thank you so much. And now, without further ado, let me introduce our moderator for today, Bu Aryani Hassana Sujuti, National Media and Communications Officer from the International Organization for Migration. Bu Aryani, the stage is yours.
Hello, can everyone hear my voice now? Clear? Great. Thanks, James, for the introduction. Hello, everyone. And thank you also for joining us today, live, online, or even at America. So we saw two films today, and I think I couldn't agree more that migration comes with both opportunity and also challenges. We saw ketchup and soya sauce. That we see how like mixed relationship also bring, challenges and opportunities both for parents as well as their children. And we also see how, children at really young age could also have empathy for other children across the globe. Now, we have a really great panelist this afternoon. We have, of course, the filmmaker herself, Min Hu, who's joining us online through Zoom. Yes, hello. Hi, Zimin, how are you?
Hi. Yes.
And we also have Stephanie Winarto. She migrated to Canada, but now she's back living in Indonesia, in Bali. Hi, Mbak Stephanie, how are you?
Apa kabar? I'm fine, thank you. Hi guys.
Great. And we also have Mia Fitriani, who's actually one of our team from IOM. She's the third assistant for MHPSS, which stands for Mental Health and Psychosocial Support. She's joining also online through Zoom. Hi, Mbak Mia.
Halo, selamat sore.
Apa kabar?
Baik.
So I'm going to just use mixed because we have two Indonesian here, and so if that's okay with you, I'm going to switch back and forth, Indonesian and English. But I'll start with Zimin, if that's okay with you, Mbak Stephanie and Mbak Mia.
Sure,
Yes.
sure.
Sure.
Yes. So Zimin, I really enjoyed watching your film. I'm sure you've heard these questions a lot of time, but I'm guessing this is something that I gotta ask, right? So what inspired you to create the film, and why film?
So this whole film is inspired by my own life experience. I was born and raised in China, and my husband is a Caucasian who was born and raised in North America. Okay. Our cultural differences, it's bitter and sweet. So it provokes a lot of a reflection in me. I find that it's fantastic, and I want to make a movie about it. So my research starts from a couple who are close to our age group, and then I become more and more curious about other age group and sexual orientations. So my film was expanding, and I felt Velma, a 97 years old lady who lost her Canadian citizenship just because she married to a Chinese immigrant. Even with all the suffering she went through, I saw an 18 years old girl in her when she told me the first time they met and the first time they kissed. I found Steve and Stanley, who were friends and business partner in decades and got married in their middle age. I was touched by how genuine, how honest and respectful that the couple treat each other. And I surprised to see the tenderness in Luc Eric's eyes when he talked about his relationship with Flavia, despite so many complaints that he has. And I learned so much wisdom from Ryan and Gerard, Zime and Marcel and Xinyu and Roxanne. From their story, I found the beauty of love and humanity that helped the couple overcome the obstacle and benefit greatly to their own personal growth as a human being. They open their eyes to the culture that is from the other side of planet. My husband never ate sushi before he met me, and
Really?
now he loves Asian food. He's a big fan of curry and fight with me for a piece of sashimi. He
Oh, yeah.
become very interested in Asian culture and history. So I think more mixed race relationship is good for the world peace. We are no longer the aliens to each other. Ketchup and soy sauce, it's not only a film about history, about immigrants, about mixed race relationship, about cultural differences. It's a film about love because despite all the cultural differences we have, we are all human beings. We're all lovable and capable to love.
Oh, that's great. Yes. And it's really interesting because you have like, when I first kind of catch the title, ketchup and soy sauce, it is really kind of like, a mix of the Western side, we have the ketchup and then we have the soy sauce, of course, for us Asian, right? So is that how, I mean, can you perhaps share about a little bit how you came out with that title?
Because in as a Chinese, in almost every food we love to put soya sauce,
Yes, that's
and
true.
it's same as like
Even
Caucasian
Indonesian too.
in every food. Yeah, and he loved to. My husband loved to put ketchup. He always says that. Okay, it's our Caucasian soya sauce. It's
Yes.
ketchup, and our kids ends up like love to mix ketchup and soya sauce together and the deep food. Like some French fry. It's just like the beginning of the film that it's kind of normal for our kids. Like sometimes they even use the apple dip in the ketchup, and for me it was like, oh my god, it's disgusting. This is what happened is the mixed relationship. Our kids
Yeah,
and
that's
the
true.
food and everything, it's all mixed. It's interesting.
Okay, I'm going to hold for. I have a few questions, but I'm going to move to Stephanie first. I'll get back to you again, Zimin. So, Mbak
Right.
Stephanie, perhaps you can share your experience, how you started your restaurant business in Canada, and then how you and your family adapt to new country.
Right. So, hi everyone. Thank you for having me here. So, I'm here in Bali at the moment, but I'm shuttling back and forth to Canada, Indonesia. So, after high school, we have to decide, right, which career we want to pursue. And I was really into fashion design. And since I was the first one leaving home at the time, the first child, I have two siblings. I had to choose somewhere not too far away. So it was Singapore at the time. So I went to study at LaSalle College in
Ah,
Singapore,
okay. Yeah.
taking fashion design. So I did. It was a 2 years program. We did the
Mm-hmm.
first one. As an international student, it's
Okay.
always the benefit to do the fast course because
Mm-hmm.
then you don't have to have long summer holidays and still costly for the apartments and food. So my parents and I decided that okay, we're gonna do the 2 years, 1 year in Singapore,
Yeah.
and the last 1 year in Canada. LaSalle College is based in Montreal, so it, it's it was there for 30 years at the time already when I moved there. So I
Wow.
finished the fashion design in Montreal, and of
Mm-hmm.
course, when when you come from Indonesia, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm from a Chinese background, my parents are
Okay.
Chinese, my mom from Malang, and my father from Solo. You're always instinctively looking for opportunities. And at the time when I arrived in Montreal,
Mm-hmm.
it was 1997.
Okay.
There was a lot of international students from
Mm-hmm.
everywhere, from Japan, Indonesia, Brazil,
Yeah.
and Korea. So there was an opportunity in the beginning. It was not restaurant at the time, but
Okay.
international students needed a place to stay.
Okay.
So and I saw how my parents did some property business in Indonesia, and I thought it could be really well done in Montreal at that time because prices were good for property. So we had some properties and we rent out rooms. So my mom would come, and since I'm in fashion design, and my mom also had a garment business in Malang, we were sewing the bed sheets and curtains together. So yeah, so this was the base of the business that I started.
Okay.
After a while, I understand how the law works, tax system, permit system, and my mom's passion is also baking and cooking.
Okay.
She does everything at home, amazing, and she had a few restaurants in Jakarta at the time. And so we said, why not continuing in here in Montreal? And as the first child, I was instinctively, I'm thinking like, okay, we need to have something that every member of the family can do in the restaurant. So me in fashion design, I started developing the design of the place. My brother graduated from hotel management school, and so he is there organizing the kitchen.
Okay.
And my sister actually in graduated in graphic design. So we all chipped in. My father would come and join us and draw the logo of the restaurant, taking the same logo that my mom was using in Indonesia. So the restaurant became our place, like a little Indonesia in Montreal. And we were the only Indonesian restaurant at that time. So we pride ourselves for being authentic. So we had sate kambing, we had pepes ikan, we did laksa, gado-gado, all done from scratch. My mom was there starting the menu with my brother, and we all tasting it, and we're all Indonesian, so we know how it's supposed to taste. So it's growing, and it's throughout the business of the restaurant, I had 3 children, so it was like a marathon.
Okay.
So having 3 children, and my mom go back and forth visiting us, and each time a baby was born, my mom was there, like in my office basement, and I would go every few hours to feed my baby and come back up. So it's really, I think the most important is this teamwork in a family.
Yeah.
We understand each other, we know how each one functions, and we have one purpose, one goal.
Okay.
And so now my daughter is 20 years old. We started the restaurant when she was born, so it's 19 years old, the restaurant now. And we have really good names in the province of Quebec for our culinary adventures.
Nice.
It's been documented in many guidebooks, gastronomic guidebooks, newspapers. But then at 35 years old, I started feeling, even in Montreal, we felt it that people starting to go off track. So we were, the food, we have to be careful at that point not to buy things that are imported.
Stephanie? I think we lost Stephanie for a bit. Okay. While we're waiting for Stephanie to reconnect, Mamiya, hold your breath first, yeah? I'm going to ask Zinmin first, and then I'll go to you. So Zinmin, so I noticed that, both Stephanie and yourself, you mentioned about, like family and how you interact, but you also mentioned that you have children, right? Now,
Yes.
Now, as much as parents have to deal with their differences, adapt to new culture, those kind of things. How is your children adapting to, the mixed culture? Maybe you can share your experience with that.
Yes. I think the kids actually, it's very easy for them to adapt it because they're born in this environment. So automatically they just learning the both side, and because they're born in Canada, so I think they get most influences by Canadian culture because they went to school, they have friends, but also at home we speak 2 different language. They started. I speak 4 language. I speak Mandarin, Cantonese, and French, English. So sometimes we kind of mix a little bit language in there, and also food for food, and then we have all different food, and it's like I feel like I'm not. I feel like I'm a worse citizen. You know, I love all different foods, so I try to introduce them all the variety of food. You know, and they enjoy that. You know, and I think it's like they're born into it automatically. You know, into this mixed culture. Yes.
And do you think, I mean, from your perspective, from your experience, from how you see, you know, creativity, how does culture influence creativity?
Um, I think um, everybody have as a filmmaker or as an artist, they have their own cultural background, and that cultural background access them and have a very different perspective um, to the to all different social phenomena, and that is the beauty of this diversity culture. Like Canada, really encouraging the minority filmmaker, let them have a space, to voice them, because even from the same subject, different artists from different cultural background will make a very different film. So to me, I'm actually more on the science of fiction than documentary, but this subject is so dear to me. So I decided to make this documentary. So in order to get the most honest answer for them, I actually interview them separate. And so they wouldn't be influenced by each other,
Yeah.
and they have the space to talk freely for themselves.
That's
And
interesting,
I'm
yeah.
just an observer, and I have no judgment, no preference in just watching them. So I think in this point that both sides they could have their own most genuine, most honest answer, to this film. So some of their experience quite resonate with me, and some of them quite surprised me, and some of those, are the great advice for me. So I think film comes in different shape and color, no matter fiction, documentary, or I think the most important is honesty. So I think this is the value of the artwork.
Yes. Did your children watch your film as well?
Oh, not only they watch the film, actually they play in the film. At the beginning of the ketchup and soy sauce, they are my kids. At the beginning, eating the French fry with the ketchup and soy sauce.
They're really adapting also the mixed culture, yeah. So but this is also interesting because like you said, right, like they adapt actually both cultures. But I've read I think in the magazine, you know how sometimes mixed children of mixed marriage, they also find challenges at school, or when they don't belong to just like one origin. So, for example, if you're mixed Chinese, then are you a Chinese or are you a Canadian? I'm not sure whether you've experienced similar situation, or perhaps you can, on behalf of your children, I'm guessing.
Yes. One time, my son actually have quite a bit of Asian look, but his skin tone is very Caucasian. So one time he on the bus, and then other kids talk to him and say, "Oh my God, you look so pale. I think you get cancer."
Oh
And then
no!
he come back home and cry to me and say, "Mommy, I think I got cancer."
Oh, that's really bad. Yes.
So I told him, I say, I say, no, you just explain to people that you are a mix, you have, the pale skin is pretty, it's normal. And then what I find is amazing is the school,
Yeah.
they have those presentation at the beginning of the year, and let the kids introduce themselves, their background. Because in Canada, there's a lot of mixed kids. Some kids like mix have like 5 or 6 different nationality, so they have a chance to explain where they come from, where's the background, so other children get to know them. I think it's Canada pretty much like a melting pot. We're all come from
Yeah.
different different race. Yeah, it's
Okay.
very interesting.
it's really multicultural, yeah. Then like,
Yes,
and
very
you're in
much.
Toronto right now, right? Because you moved from Montreal, and then you move. Now are you in Toronto or are you in?
Yes, I'm in Toronto. Yes.
Okay. Okay. So this is really interesting because you know how I think children, especially, it's harder for children to adapt, you know, compared to the adults, right? So that's why we also have like Mia here. I mean, in the context of like we have like children who's have the privilege, you know, they choose to migrate because of their families and so on. I mean, in case of your children, I mean, they were born and raised in Canada, but we also have like refugee children, for example, right, where they also face challenges because they are forced to move to Indonesia, uh, and because they fleeing the conflict or the just horrible situation from their origin country. So, but Mia, from your experience, maybe you can share with us now, what about these refugee children? I mean, how can they access education in Indonesia? You can
Oke, terima
answer.
kasih.
Yes, you can
In
answer in
bahasa.
Indonesian as well.
Ya,
Yes.
I already do it. Ya, oke. Terima kasih Mbak Rina. Ya, saat ini di Indonesia ada sekitar 13.000 pengungsi yang tersebar di seluruh Indonesia. Dan 7.000 di antara pengungsi tersebut berada di bawah bantuan IOM. Nah, pada saat ini anak-anak pengungsi, kita menyebutnya pengungsi luar negeri untuk membedakan dengan pengungsi dalam negeri, itu sudah bisa mendapatkan akses pendidikan formal. Ini merupakan sebuah keberhasilan yang cukup besar dari pemerintah Indonesia, khususnya Kementerian Pendidikan dan Kebudayaan, dan hal ini tercantum di sebuah surat edaran yang keluar di tahun 2019, di mana pada intinya pemerintah Indonesia memberikan akses pendidikan kepada anak pengungsi, namun dengan beberapa kondisi. Kondisi yang pertama adalah partisipasi anak-anak sekolah di sekolah formal ini tidak membebani APBN ataupun APBD. Dan untuk sekolah-sekolah di daerah ini tetap harus mengutamakan anak-anak Indonesia, anak-anak lokal. Jadi apabila sekolah tersebut memiliki kuota yang sisa atau berlebih, itu bisa diberikan kepada anak-anak pengungsi ini. Dan satu kondisi lain bahwa walaupun anak-anak pengungsi ini bisa mendapatkan pembelajaran secara penuh di sekolah, tapi mereka ini tidak terdaftar di Dapodik. Dapodik ini adalah sebuah sistem pendataan pendidikan nasional, sehingga para pengungsi ini, anak-anak pengungsi ini, apabila mereka sudah menyelesaikan sekolahnya, mereka tidak bisa mendapatkan ijazah. Mereka mendapatkan seperti surat keterangan saja dari sekolah bahwa mereka sudah ikut belajar, seperti itu. Nah, saat ini di Indonesia, anak-anak usia sekolah yang di bawah bantuan IOM itu ada sekitar 1.645, dan 652 di antara anak-anak tersebut sudah bisa mendapatkan akses pendidikan ke sekolah formal. Jadi sekitar 40% dari populasi anak-anak usia sekolah di Indonesia. Nah, tadi mungkin bertanya juga bagaimana caranya anak-anak pengungsi ini bisa bersekolah.
Ya.
Nah,
karena kan
ada
mereka bahasanya
beberapa,
kan juga mungkin berbeda ya Mbak ya?
Betul, betul. Ya, jadi banyak persiapannya Mbak Rina memang, karena ya seperti Mbak Rina bilang tadi, mereka punya kekhususan tertentu, mereka bahasa yang berbeda, culture mereka berbeda, secara perkembangan sosial emosional juga mereka berbeda, gitu ya, karena memang segala perjalanan yang mereka sudah lalui untuk mengungsi ke negara Indonesia ini. Nah, di IOM kami menyelenggarakan program yang kita sebut sebagai School Readiness Program. Jadi ya kelas-kelas persiapan sebelum anak-anak ini kita daftarkan ke sekolah. Jadi di kelas-kelas ini, di program ini kita membekali anak-anak dengan beberapa aspek. Yang utama adalah aspek bahasa tentu saja, kemudian juga aspek sosial emosional mereka, kesiapan sikap mereka untuk belajar, kemudian belajar mengenai culture dan social practices yang ada di Indonesia, dan juga untuk mempersiapkan orang tua supaya mereka siap untuk menyekolahkan anaknya, tidak hanya menyekolahkan tapi juga mendukung pendidikan anaknya selama mereka bersekolah.
Jadi nggak cuma
Seperti
anak-anaknya
itu.
aja ya, tapi juga orang tuanya
Betul.
ya. Nah, ini
Betul.
menarik juga nih, karena kan Mbak tadi bilang bahwa ada kelas persiapan gitu ya. Nah, kadang kan kita tahu bagi mereka yang memang bermigrasi karena pilihan ya, bukan karena keterpaksaan, itu kan mereka punya opsi ya. Mereka punya opsi ke kelas internasional misalnya gitu kan ya. Atau ke sekolah-sekolah misalnya mereka yang berbahasa Prancis ya ke sekolah Prancis internasional misalnya. Nah, ini kan mereka kalau anak-anak refugee yang mereka meninggalkan negaranya karena terpaksa, kemudian mereka bersekolah di Indonesia gitu kan, berarti kan mereka hanya punya akses ke sekolah dasar negeri ya. Nah, itu gimana Mbak? Apa mungkin bisa cerita pengalaman-pengalaman dari yang pengamatan Mbak gitu ya, bagaimana mereka kemudian membaur gitu dengan anak-anak Indonesia setelah kelas persiapan ini, apa ada apa ya kisah-kisah menarik mungkin yang bisa di-share di sore hari ini?
Iya, jadi ya mungkin kita juga setuju bahwa anak-anak ini belajarnya cepat ya. Mereka mengabsorb banyak hal cepat sekali, termasuk bahasa dan kultur gitu ya, culture. Jadi banyak dari anak-anak pengungsi sebenarnya sebelum mendapatkan kelas persiapan pun sudah cukup lancar berbahasa Indonesia gitu. Itu hasil mereka bergaul dengan anak-anak lokal, bermain dengan anak-anak lokal seperti itu. Dan ketika mereka bersekolah, ini ya semakin lancar bahasa Indonesianya dan juga sudah mulai banyak mengadopsi budaya-budaya Indonesia gitu. Jadi kalau misalnya nanti Mbak Rina main ke ke akomodasi pengungsi, mungkin Mbak Rina akan menemukan anak-anak pengungsi yang datang terus cium tangan Mbak Rina gitu. Itu kan Indonesia banget
Indonesia
gitu ya.
banget, yes.
Cium tangan gitu. Kemudian kalau lewat orang tua mereka nunduk dan bilang permisi seperti itu. Jadi mereka sangat mudah mengadaptasi culture-culture yang baru dan karena mereka memang lebih open dan ya karena masih anak-anak belum ada prejudice atau stereotyping tertentu ya Mbak. Seperti itu.
Jadi memang kuncinya memang ya tadi ya beradaptasi ya itu dan
Betul.
itu harus tidak hanya dari anak-anaknya sendiri tapi juga harus dukungan dari orang tua ya.
Betul.
Ya. Maybe I can going back to Zemin again. What is your experience on that? Would you agree that actually for children to be able to adapt their new culture, their new environment, is also their parents also have an important role to support them. Like for example, like when you told your son he came back and cried. How do you respond to that situation?
You're on mute.
Yes. I think it's it's very important. First, there's a lot of misunderstanding there.
Yeah.
You have to have a firm belief who you are and your own identity. So I think I think it's important to explain, to educate the other people, how to respect there's always stereotype out there. And then I think it's in order to break the stereotype, we have a chance to open the communication, open the dialogue. And then I think that is the best way to break the stereotype and help them understand each other, the culture, exchange everybody's point of view. Yeah. So communication.
Yes.
Yeah. More dialogue.
Yeah. Yes. This is actually one of the ways, right? What we're doing at the moment, having a dialogue just to make sure, we don't want, we just want people to understand as well that migration comes with, again, opportunities and challenges. It also comes with all this different diversity, right? So, and that's really interesting because then we're trying to be our best to not, like you said, not stereotyping people. Know them, even if it's your own neighbor, like you just say hello first, right? Without having that prejudice and saying, oh, okay, I don't want to say hi. I think I don't know where she's from or he's from, right?
Yeah.
So do we have Stephanie back or?
Can you see
Yes.
me? Yeah,
Ah,
I'm here.
hi, Mas
Sorry.
Stephanie. Sorry. Okay.
I'm in the
Gla-
village, so sometimes connection like.
Ah, okay. No worries, Ma. So yeah, so we were just talking while you're away a bit. So we were discussing on how, we do have children who have more privilege than others, and see
Mhm.
how, like, at the end, both children, and no matter where, where they are, they have challenges, and as well, right? Adapting to cultures,
Sure,
different cultures, and so
sure,
on.
sure.
Perhaps, what is your what about your story? Maybe you can share us a bit, because I know that you
Sure.
migrated. Actually, this is the first time I heard that. I thought you were just there with your sister, but it's like it turned out it to be like the
No,
whole family, right? You
but the
migrated.
parents back and forth.
Yes.
Parents back and forth.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how that's working out for you? When you were there, you migrated when you were younger, and then you had
Mhm.
kids, and then how
Yeah.
yes, maybe you can share that experience with us.
Sure. So the kids, they even though we were in Montreal, we kept the tradition a lot. Like my mom would cook meals that are special to our family when I was little, and she also cook it for my children. So we keep that continue, and each year we return to Indonesia for Christmas. We have a long weekend, a long holiday in Indonesia for like 4 or 5 weeks.
Okay.
So, and at the time, we went to Bali because we have a lot of family here, aunts, uncle, the cows just in
Yeah.
front of the house.
You don't
And in
have
the
that in
morning, no,
Montreal. You
and
don't have
it
cows
felt very
lying around.
well. You have to go to the countryside,
Okay.
and so it make them feel that they are exotic and special. And Montreal is really really open. A lot of people from everyone, just like what Shimin who said.
Uh-huh.
And so people were just exchanging stories like that after the holidays, after spending time with the family. Many of our friends coming from different part of the world immigrate also to Montreal. So it's a mixed culture in Montreal. It makes them feel special. And then now that one by one they are in high school and one in college, they're thinking a lot about making projects in Indonesia. Like instinctively, yeah, amazing. They always say, "Mom, later on we do this in Indonesia. Later on we do this," and it's amazing. So I think the idea is to keep the threads intact, keeps the connections. What I experienced from my parents, I give it to them, and my parents are still there to transmit this to them. And then we introduce them the cultures back home. We make them eat. My daughter's favorite food is nasi goreng. And my son always said, terima kasih, selamat tidur. So we keep all that going. And I think they can absorb the Western work ethic that's really good over there, and the modern technology.
Okay.
But they don't lose the cultures and the feel of Indonesia from them.
Yeah, I think keeping the roots, it's really important, and we have to make the efforts too, right?
And we play parts. Yeah.
Yeah. What
We
about
play
you,
parts.
Zemin? Are you also like, try to have like maybe special traditional moments with your children, just to make sure that they understand, their origin?
Yes, we celebrate holidays like Chinese New Year, Mid Autumn Festival, and explain to them what is what we're gonna what we usually do during those holidays. And I introduce them. That is the best opportunity to explain, introduce our culture, and also my husband as well. He will explain to his heritage, how Americans celebrate their, the holiday, and also movies and movies, music, language, and all of that, and special stories. Kids love stories. And then I would buy them books and introduce those characters and some heroes, some legends, and they love that. So they was like, they love that and love the story, and then through all of that they learn their cultures, and then My parents always like my mother and very connected with children, and they always from time to time they talk to each other even they don't understand the language. They sometimes I would translate a little bit for them, and that is like very much connect them also, to this part of the cultural heritage.
Yeah, that's interesting. Now, I want to go back again to Mbak Mia. So Mbak Mia, so you in the beginning you said that you will see like refugee children. If I go to accommodation, they will like cium tangan and then said terima kasih, permisi. But is there any stories that like they doing the opposite? Like for example, the Indonesian kid who's actually copying others' culture because they're they share the same class with the children.
Iya, kalau dari anak-anak lokal yang pada akhirnya belajar dari anak-anak pengungsi itu lebih banyak di bahasa, gitu ya, di bahasa karena ketika anak-anak ini masuk ke sekolah biasanya bahasa Indonesia mereka belum lancar gitu, jadi biasanya mereka menggunakan bahasa Inggris, gitu kan, kepada teman-temannya kayak gitu. Jadi teman-temannya juga mau nggak mau ikutan belajar bahasa Inggris ya supaya bisa ngomong sama pengungsi ini gitu. Jadi ya lebih banyak ke unsur bahasa sih ya gitu. Kalau si anak-anak ini.
Tapi ini mungkin juga bisa memunculkan bahasa-bahasa slang-slang baru nggak sih Mbak? Kalau dengan percampuran kayak gini, aku nggak tahu ya. Tapi kan misalnya kan kadang-kadang kita aja yang sesama anak-anak Indonesia gitu kan, kita punya kayak biar keren nih gitu kan. Nah apalagi ini mix gitu. Pernah dengar nggak Mbak? Maksudnya bahasa Inggris apa bahasa Indonesia apa mix gitu? Mungkin Mbak Mia punya pengalaman yang bisa diceritakan.
Ya, sebelumnya saya mau maaf ini di dekat rumah saya lagi azan, jadi mungkin kedengeran, gitu ya. Saya sih belum pernah dengar ya apa namanya istilah-istilah slang yang terbentuk gitu ya dari asimilasi dua bahasa ini. Gitu. Cuman yang lucu itu kalau menurut saya adalah justru ketika anak-anak pengungsi itu berbicara bahasa Indonesia dengan logat daerah. Gitu.
Oh, oke.
Jadi mereka itu tidak hanya berbicara bahasa Indonesia, kayak contohnya saya di Makassar. Saya mendengar anak-anak pengungsi berbicara bahasa Indonesia dengan logat Makassar.
Oh, gitu. Okay.
Dan bahkan di Jakarta itu anak-anak pengungsi ngomongnya lo gue, gitu. Dan bahkan sangat Betawi sekali banyak dari antara mereka kayak gitu.
Dan itu artinya gini, kemudian apakah orang tuanya juga mereka belajar bahasa Indonesia juga atau gimana Mbak? Karena kan misalnya kan kalau apalagi anak-anak sekolah kita yang kita tahu kan kita ada namanya pertemuan orang tua gitu kan ya. Nanti ada bagi-bagi rapot kayak gitu. Nah itu bagaimana Mbak? Kalau dengan orang tuanya sendiri?
Ya, kalau untuk orang tua dan dewasa yang lain, IOM sendiri menyediakan kelas-kelas bahasa, ya bahasa Indonesia, bahasa Inggris itu disediakan. Tapi memang kecepatan belajarnya berbeda dengan anak-anak, gitu ya. Dan ini juga yang terkadang membuat peran anak-anak ini walaupun anak lebih penting di keluarga mereka, karena most of the time mereka tuh berperan sebagai translator untuk orang tua mereka ketika orang tua mereka pergi ke rumah sakit atau pergi ke pasar gitu, atau bahkan ketika berinteraksi dengan staf IOM atau staf UNHCR seperti itu biasanya peran anaknya yang cukup besar untuk menjadi penerjemah seperti itu.
Malah mereka menerjemahkan ya. Oke. Ini diskusinya sebenarnya makin panas ini, tapi sekarang saya mau lihat dulu ada daftar pertanyaan. Ini ada dari, sorry, now I have to switch back to English again because I think this is for Zimin. Yes. So this is from Domingo and he asks, I would like to ask the director of Ketchup and Soy Sauce, since the movie has a strong representation of different intercultural relationships, with a lot of visual material, dates, interviews, photos, I believe it is amazing and arduous job. What was the most difficult part of getting, recording, and putting together all the information? That's the first question. And then the second one, did you encounter any difficulties from the participant in any kind of information they were not happy sharing while the film or to be shown? Thank you. Zemin, over to you.
Yes, so I think the most difficult is like with Velma. She was like every time you talk about what she, because her case is very different. She suffers a lot. It's like we all learn from the film that just because she's dating a Chinese immigrant at the time in 1939, her father called the police and arrest her, put in jail. I mean, this is like crazy, right? You just because you're dating a Chinese and you put in jail. She was put in jail with all the sex workers and all those other criminals, and then it was just not right for her. And then after she get out of the jail, she marry, they marry, and then she lost her Canadian citizenship, and then she just like cannot even get a passport. I could not even go to Hong Kong, go anywhere, and then go visit my husband's family. And so my challenge is it's when I approach her and try to interview her, and it was tough. She refused me many times because every time she talked about that, it's like it opens a box of wound, opens her wound. So she doesn't want to accept that. So I told her, I say it's fine if you don't accept, but I want to meet you. So I bought flowers, and then I met her, and then we get to know each other, and then she understands that like I'm really sincere with that. And so we finally I convinced her, and she say okay, she accept the interview. So I was very lucky because she was just like a month before she moved to Vancouver, and that was the last chance. And then she died in 2019. Unfortunately, she didn't have a chance to see this film, and then she passed away. And she actually received the apology from the federal government just a few months before her death. She passed away. So that was like, but I'm happy in the end that she received the apology from the federal government, for taking her citizenship away. And the most challenge in this film is I want to get the most honest, most the most honest answer, because when couples sitting together, they kind of like influence each other. Say, oh, if I say something bad about my partners, and then they were not gonna be happy. So they might be stressed about that. And in that purpose, I was planning a lot, thinking of a lot about that. So that's why I separate them. I interview them in different days, and then have a total safe space for them. Can opens up almost like a like a therapist. It's like psychologist. You interview people slowly, let them open. That part was it's at the beginning was a little bit challenge for me, but after that, when things goes very well after that, and I do sometimes like worry about, oh, okay, if I put this into it, is it they're gonna be upset? But in the end, actually, I was surprised. They're very, very nice and open to it. And then when I showed them the film, they was like, I'm happy with the outcome. Yeah.
How long did it take for you to create this film?
For 4 years.
Wow.
And I tried to apply for grants, and I didn't get. I applied to grants for like 2, 3 times, federal government, Ontario, and I didn't get any grants, and then it was struggling. So I with all the resources, have friends comes over helping me, and my husband is using the camera, shooting. I'm doing interview. We're just like my husband is very, very supportive for this, and then we actually shot a lot more than we used in the film. And actually, at the beginning, I was thinking about using my own story as like a beginning to open the film. But later, when we have enough material, so we don't have to. I think another challenge also, it's like research. We have to do a lot to find the right couple to listen to their stories. So I have to interview lots of couples, and even with that, we're still quite challenged if they allow us to go into their house to film it. Like as an observer, not interfere their daily life, but we just put a camera there, just to film, and that is like not easy either. You have to spend a lot of time and energy, but I was very lucky in the end. CBC comes in and finance us to finish the whole film. So we able to finish the post production and finally bring the film out. Yeah, we're very lucky because the CDC comes in. Yeah.
Oh, that was, yeah. I mean, hearing your story was like, I was kind of thinking, oh, it's not as simple as it is. Yeah, like when you see the film as it is, you feel like, okay, 1 hour and finish. But then it actually took like 4 years to create such film. So before I go to another question, I would like to ask also the audience here if you have any question. Yeah. Can we have the mic, please? Thank you.
Uh, Thank you for the opportunity. Hello, everyone. My name is Mira, and I have a question for Miss Zimin. So I love watching your movie. It was very touching, and I love it to watch it. And but I think it was very touching. But me, as a non-immigrant, I was born in Indonesia. I live in Indonesia, still in living in Indonesia. I feel kind of disconnected through the film, not because it was not touching or anything like that, but as a non-immigrant, I don't know what I can do to maybe help other immigrants who are maybe struggling in our country. So what I want to ask you is, what is the biggest impact that you want to leave to people who are non-immigrants after watching your movie? Thank you.
That's such a great question. Zimin, do you want to just directly answer
Yes.
that?
I want to tell you a little story that it's about my son. In his school, there's constantly have a new immigrant children comes in. Like kids doesn't even speak English at all, and they just fresh comes in. And my son love to help them, and teach them. Both my kids, they both love to do that. Introduce them to school and started speak English with them and help them. And then they so proud of doing that, and they always come to me and say that today I have this Mohammed, and then I love this kid, and you know what, no one play with him, he's just first day coming to school, first day, they just arrived this country, and then or there's another kid's a refugee, and I'm so proud, I'm so happy, and then show them the school. I'm not supposed to do that, but I decided to do that, and and it makes me happy. And I think it's important to teach children empathy and compassion, understanding. Like the shoes,
Yeah.
the short documentary really like brings tea to me, because that it's like you need to educate the kids, have compassion to other children when they just arrive, they need so much help, just, like, for example, another family move in the neighbor, we can just like bring some gift over or chocolate, and then they say, hey, do you need any help? Do you need anything? We're here, this is our community. It's beautiful. And then just say hello, and then initiate a first step, just come over to, if we see each other, it's just, hi, my name is like Simin, and I'm so happy, and I see you moving in the neighbor. It's anything you need help, knock at the door. We're more than happy to help you. And my children and their children play together, and they introduce their culture to us, and then we get to learn, their culture, their food. We have birthday party, invite them over. It's just beautiful. I think this is quite common in Canada, in our society. I think it's because here it's a real diversity. So I think be open-minded, to other culture, to other people, understanding the newcomer, they have to overcome a lot of obstacle, because as an immigrant, me too, when I just arrived in Canada, even though I speak English, because my accent or I don't understand the culture, I've been through a lot of difficulty. And then I also thank the people at that time helping me, explain to me what is the culture, what's the history of the society, and help me to understand the mentality, how I talk to people, how to deal with all those problems, and so I can be part of the society, integrate into the society. Yeah. I
Okay,
hope I can answer. I have answered the question.
Yeah, thank you, Zemin. So maybe I would also kind of defer that question to Mak Mia, because Mak Mia, with the situation, how we have, because we maybe Indonesia in some areas we don't have people like, for example, what Almira is saying. Maybe she doesn't have anyone from other countries in surrounding the neighborhood, right? So sometimes it's really normal, like a common sense that we just feel disconnected, right, Mamia? Is there maybe you can sort of like you have any comments on her question?
Sorry Mbak, boleh diulang?
Ya, jadi kan tadi kan Amira bilang kan dia melihat filmnya Zemin gitu ya. Tapi sebagai seorang yang bukan imigran gitu ya, seseorang yang lahir dan besar di Indonesia gitu, melihat film bukan berarti film itu tidak berdampak, tetapi film tersebut dia masih merasa disconnected gitu ya. Nah ini kan sering juga ya terjadi kalau mungkin Mbak Mia bisa cerita berdasarkan pengalaman Mbak gitu. Bagaimana kemudian orang-orang komunitas sekitar di mana refugee tinggal gitu ya. Apakah mereka itu bagaimana sih supaya mereka itu bisa menyatu gitu ya? Artinya mempunyai kohesi sosial gitu mungkin ya.
Ya, baik, makasih Mbak. Ya, jadi memang dari IOM sendiri sangat menyadari bahwa penting sekali kohesi sosial ini, karena para pengungsi ini mereka itu memang benar-benar tinggal di tengah-tengah masyarakat, gitu ya, memang dengan jarak yang sangat dekat dengan masyarakat. Dan dan pengungsi ini memang punya keberagaman yang sangat banyak, gitu ya. Keberagaman ini bisa dilihat sebagai hal yang positif, namun bisa juga menjadi resiko kalau memang tidak dijaga keharmonisannya, bisa terjadi gesekan seperti itu. Nah, para pengungsi ini adalah orang-orang yang memang sebenarnya punya potensi yang sangat banyak, gitu ya. Jadi mereka punya keterampilan, punya pengetahuan yang memang mereka sendiri siap untuk sharing dengan orang-orang sekitar mereka, kayak gitu. Nah, jadi selama ini hal itu yang kami coba fasilitasi. Jadi kami ingin membuat sebuah environment yang aman untuk para pengungsi dan masyarakat lokal melakukan kontak secara positif, seperti itu. Jadi di mana mereka juga bisa saling bertukar experience, budaya mereka, makanan, seni. Nah itu banyak sekali kegiatan kolaborasi yang kami fasilitasi. Misalnya di Kota Makassar ada pertemuan rutin antara kelompok perempuan lokal, ibu-ibu lokal dengan ibu-ibu pengungsi. Di situ mereka bertemu, ya cerita tentang pengalaman mereka masing-masing supaya mereka saling tahu pengungsi itu apa sih. Suara saya echoing?
Ya, sekarang udah nggak. Tadi sempat echo.
Oke, ya, siapa itu pengungsi? Gitu ya, karena memang pengungsi dan imigran itu berbeda, gitu ya. Alasan mereka pergi itu sangat berbeda. Mereka memiliki ketakutan beralasan sehingga mereka harus pergi dari negaranya. Dan itu banyak orang Indonesia juga belum paham mengenai hal tersebut. Jadi dengan memfasilitasi kontak-kontak positif tersebut, ya kita berharap saling tahu, gitu ya, saling tahu. Makanya kalau Indonesia kan tak kenal maka tak sayang, gitu ya. Kita coba membuat opportunity itu, safe environment untuk mereka bisa melakukan kontak positif sehingga mereka saling mengenal, seperti itu. Dan kalau saya boleh cerita, pengungsi ini juga memang punya kemauan berkontribusi, ya, bukan hanya untuk komunitas mereka sendiri, tapi untuk komunitas lokal, gitu. Jadi kalau tadi saya lihat orang orang luar berdonasi untuk pengungsi di Syria yang tinggal di Lebanon. Nah, pengungsi di Indonesia itu justru pernah melakukan donasi untuk korban bencana alam yang ada di Palu, gitu. Dengan segala keterbatasan mereka mencoba mengumpulkan apa yang mereka punya, gitu. Mereka mau mendonasikan hal tersebut ke pengungsi korban bencana alam di Palu seperti itu. Jadi
Makasih. Ya, makasih Mbak Mia. Mbak Stefani mungkin mau komen atau menanggapi pendapat Mbak Mia dan Zemen mungkin terhadap pertanyaan tadi?
Ya, kalau menurut pengalaman saya ya, yang bisa kita lakukan, what we can do actually is welcoming them to the community when we meet people coming from even different part of town. The little things like what Jimin was saying, our kids can show them even where you can get the bread and where do you go to, how do you drink from the water fountain, little things like that. When we show that to people who are coming to our town, it's appreciated and it makes an entry to a conversation for something else. Like, what do you do after school? Oh, we go to that park. And how do you go to that park? Well, you can take the bike or you can walk. Or don't walk that way because you're crossing the big street. So just little conversations like that among kids, I think it's really nice. And when I go to the park with my kids and I see other, usually also mother and kids coming to play, then you would just kind of, show a gesture like hi. Sometimes they also don't want to talk to you because maybe they don't know yet the language. But just like that, and we let the kids play with our kids, that's already like a really nice gesture for them to feel welcome instead of being like suspicious, like, hey, you don't know them, I feel like from the same school, don't play with them. So I think as parents, we can help creating that environment.
Okay.
To feel welcome.
Yeah. So I think there's also, yeah, so we need to also create, if I can take that as to conclude that question that given by Almira. So I think we all need to create that kind of feel connecting to different culture, to different, what do you call that? Just people from different backgrounds, right? So I think your movie, from this, not just like Zeman's movie, but what we're trying to say is that through films, we will actually want to create empathy. We want to kind of like stimulate people being connected to different culture. Would you agree that, Zeman, Mbak Stephanie, and Mbak
Totally.
Mia?
Yes.
Totally. I mean, it's like it's all. I mean, it's in the end, it's all about humanity. You know, we're all together. You know, it's not just one tree. Our nature is all different plants. All different flowers. That's why the garden is so beautiful, and then all different culture. When we're in Montreal, and it's wonderful, all different restaurants, and then you went there, it's like almost like it's like a tour of the world, and then it's like today it's African restaurant, Indonesia restaurant, Vietnamese restaurant, Chinese restaurant, and it's enriched. Different culture brings us, really rich, nutrition.
Yeah. That's true. So Almira, are you happy with the? Did we answer your question? Okay, great. Okay, so now moving on, we still have a bit of time. We still about 3 questions. So this is from Brenda. It's through Zoom. So Zemin, I really like how the film captured the contrast between 2 cultures. As an immigrant yourself, what would you like to say to immigrants who are struggling adapting a new culture? Zemin, over to you.
I think the most important is you have to understand. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why people choose immigrant to a new country. Either you're gonna ask yourself why. So first you understand why, and then you make a better choice because you have to interest the local culture. You have to respect the culture. You have to have interest. If you very rejecting, you have no interest at all, it's very hard for you to be happy. In the, for example, for me, the reason why, because I love the society or I love the culture or I'm interested, or let me find out, for sure. As like immigrant, we always have a little bit problem about our own identity. We confuse who I am. Am I Canadian or Chinese?
Yeah.
And then that confusion, we create a kind of pain, because you get lost, and at the same time, like for example, I remember at the beginning when I just arrived in Canada, and then some people just hear some friend talking about making a joke about the dollar stores. Oh, they're made in China, they're cheap, and I feel hurt, that feeling, and then yes, I'm a little bit oversensitive. They don't say that to me to hurt my feeling, but I feel hurt because like I'm oversensitive. That's because for me I was like confused, who I am, Um, so I think all of that, I think the culture shock, cultural identity, it's a period, it's a phrase that you have to went through, and I think my suggestion is trying to be open-minded, and accept learning the new culture. Not necessary that will make you lose your own culture. You're still who you are.
Yeah.
Don't worry about that, but be open-minded and then make friends with the people. You might get rejected. I get rejected many times. Okay, and especially in Quebec, because they are trying to protect their own culture, so there's like already conflict between English and French. And then when you come in, sometimes they will quite protect themselves, but I speak French. I try to learn their culture, and then I try to understand them. Sometimes I get rejected, but then, when you understand that, it's like everywhere, that some people are open-minded, some are not, don't take it personal. Just, smile and just let it go and move on and make friends with people who like you, Don't be too sensitive, and be positive. That is most important.
Yeah,
Yeah.
positive totally is the key. Okay, so we have two more questions now. So this is from Rizka. She said that what I like about the first movie is how you're trying to showcase two different cultures without putting it like where people who watch it thinks it's not stereotyping. It could be happening to anyone in different culture relationship. It's beautiful. So I would like to ask all panelists. So this is questions for all of you, Mbak Mia, Mbak Stephanie, and also Zemin, about this issue of stereotyping and how to cope with that. Yes, maybe you wanna just go. Who wants to go first? Yeah, Mbak Mia.
You wanna go in?
Okay.
Boleh. It's just on top of my head. I don't know why I keep like remembering Mbak Mia. No offense, yeah, Zemin and Mbak Stephanie. Yeah, please go ahead, Mbak.
Oke, tadi sebenarnya saya sudah sedikit menyentuh isu ini ya, gitu ya, bahwa prinsip yang sederhana adalah tak kenal maka tak sayang. Ini juga terjadi di konteks fungsi gitu. Di IO Indonesia secara programatik memang kita selalu berusaha untuk meningkatkan awareness masyarakat sekitar mengenai siapa itu pengungsi, mengedukasi mereka, kemudian membuka dialog antara masyarakat lokal dengan pengungsi lokal, dan juga yang tadi saya bilang adalah menciptakan sebuah ruang yang aman untuk para pengungsi dan masyarakat lokal ini bisa kontak secara positif, yaitu tadi kolaborasi secara pendidikan, seperti itu. Diharapkan masyarakat lokal bisa melihat pengungsi ini dengan lebih objektif. Mereka kenal siapa itu pengungsi dan mereka juga bisa pada akhirnya belajar untuk memiliki hubungan lebih baik dengan pengungsi, seperti itu. Nah, kalau saya boleh cerita, GMFF ini kami lakukan setiap tahun juga di Kota Makassar. Ini adalah sebuah sarana yang sangat efektif menurut kami, karena banyak film yang memang pada akhirnya memperkenalkan konteks pengungsi kepada partner-partner kami seperti universitas, kemudian local NGO. Nah, saya bisa bilang bahwa setelah setiap GMFF kita lakukan, kami pasti akan mendapatkan partner yang baru, gitu, baik itu dari universitas maupun dari NGO maupun itu dari instansi pemerintah yang pada akhirnya mau untuk ikut berkolaborasi dalam upaya kita memberikan bantuan kepada para pengungsi, seperti itu.
Terima kasih Mbak Mia. So now Mbak Stephanie, tapi ini mungkin saya tambahin sedikit karena kita masih ada sedikit waktu. Jadi Rizka tadi juga menambahkan, dia bilang, and I would like to ask, and the second movie makes me wonder, how can I raise my child with that heart full of empathy? So maybe the question I'll ask to you is that, as parents, how can you raise your child with that heart full of empathy? That goes for Zimin as well. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I can. First, I think we need to treat our kids with empathy, so they can learn what is empathy. I think it's like I learned parenting when I was pregnant. Listen to the kids, and So I think also so important is let them learn all different cultures. Bring them to museums and read story from different culture and music, arts, and all of that. Let them learn the other cultures, so they're curious about that. They're not like for food. I try to bring my kids to all different restaurants, Asian food, Vietnamese food. I try to make them try different things, and then that is the way opens up their eyes, and then it's not like, oh my god, aliens. It's like I only know hot dog, hamburger, salad. I don't know anything else, or and then try to like legend stories and from all different culture. Oh, this is a story from Malaysia. This is stories from Vietnamese, and watch movies and all of that. I think kids are parents are the teacher, the first teacher of the children. If the parents are open-minded, okay, the children will be open-minded. And that is like the first step. Teach them empathy and compassion towards the people have different culture than us. You need to set up an example. You need to like befriend, with other people, new immigrants and all of them. And kids will, look at you and learn from you. Yeah. I think it's like that's I hope I answered the question.
Thank you. Mbak Stephanie, do you want to add up something?
I did the same like Jimin to my children. It's full immersion. So what happened is that we do activities together outside with everyone in the neighborhood and in the community. So we take the bus, we go to the public swimming pool, we go to the park around the neighborhood. We live in an area called Utkamong, and this is a lot of Jewish Orthodox, and they dress differently than us. And even that, being together with them, even if you do not talk with them, it will you will have questions coming from your children, and that's how you can explain. Oh, on Saturday, Sunday, they don't have electricity, they all walk, they don't take their car, they cannot even ring their bell to us. Then you can tell them why. So then they don't feel strange, and then in Montreal you also have groups of Greek women always dressed in black, going everywhere. So when we go out and we see them, then we just explain, why they are doing that is that a lot of their husbands were fishermen back home in Greece. So when they immigrate here to Canada, they used to wear black because they know when the husband at the time going for fishing, they might be gone forever. So they put black as like prepare for the wars to come. So there's a lot of things you can tell to your children. Of course, parents have to be knowledgeable. I like to read. I like history. I like geology, and I like storytelling. In Montreal on Sunday, we have medieval fights in the park in the Mont Royal. I don't know if Zimin remember. And we would go all dressed up, and I would bring a picnic blanket, and I let them create their own swords from wood and branches, and they would fight with the others. So these environments help them to realize that they are the same like the others, even though they're all different, but they feel like that's their normal. And then it gives entry for you to tell them, like, why is it like this more medieval? And then I tell them story. And it's amazing. It's mixing the fairy tales with the everyday life and use public services. We go to libraries all the time. One baby in a kangaroo, one baby in a stroller, one in my
That's
hand, and
true.
we would spend like we do that. Of course, there are things that happen to us. Like I'm Asian, I go to grocery with my children, and there will be like some older lady. They're in rush, and they will be like, "Can you get your kids off the alley?" And then my kids will look at me because they're not used to this like very confrontational thing, especially from someone that they think like grandma.
Yeah.
So then I explain, well, maybe they're alone, they're rushing, they need to fix their food, they need to get on time for the bus. So there's a lot of ways to explain, but you need to get out with them, to immerse.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. I just realized that we're still 3 minutes before our time, so I think we can end our discussion today. Although I would love to have more discussion with with the three of you. So I think what I can conclude that we learned today about compassion. We learned today about being open to new culture. It's actually key because we know like people migrate for many reasons, right? Some because they want to seek for better opportunities, some because they want to escape from violence and other difficult condition. But we also learned that people migrate for love as well. So a more positive perception toward migration and migrants is an important factor in building a cohesion and harmony between migrants and local communities. So without that, again, I'd like to say thank you for our wonderful panelists for accompanying me for almost an hour now. For those who join us online, so our team will send a link for a feedback form, so you can just fill that out. And for those who are lucky, we will have some merchandise to be sent to your address. Again, thank you, and I'll give back to James CMC. Thank you.
Thank you so much to our moderator, Bu Aryani, along with our speakers, Jimin Hu, along with Mbak Stephanie and Mbak Mia for today's discussion. It's been great having you guys with us. Earlier in the event, we asked our audience members online a question. In what year was the International Organization for Migration, otherwise known as the IOM, established? And the correct answer to that is option B. The IOM was established in 1951 and works closely with governmental, intergovernmental, and non-governmental partners to promote humane and orderly migrations around the globe. Shout out goes to Berlia Yolana from Instagram for answering correctly, and thank you to everyone who has participated. Don't forget to tune in next time for another chance to get a shout out from us. Now, you may be wondering, how could I develop an awesome idea for a place like this? It's very easy. All you need to do is go to our website at www.atamerica.or.id, select Create a Program, and click Collaborate with us. All event proposals coming to us will be reviewed, and your event might be featured here soon. You can also subscribe to our newsletter for all our weekly updates. And that's it, folks. That wraps this episode. It's been fun, but we have to say goodbye for now. Follow our Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at @ATAmerica for our fun contents, event updates, and so much more. Thank you again, everyone, for joining. Again, my name is James, and we'll see you next time at the next At America TV episode. Goodbye. All right, for our